My dad grew up on a stock farm in Nebraska. They raised cattle for beef, and he had a horse named Sonny and a dog named Buster. And on Saturday afternoons, he would go to the movies in town, and they would always have Western shows, and he dreamed about being a cowboy. In October 1929, the stock market crashed, and the mortgage company foreclosed on the farm, and suddenly they went from being fairly prosperous ranchers to just being sharecroppers. One of the most pivotal moments in his life was his father's death in 1934. Dad was almost 10. He describes that Christmas of 1934 as the saddest Christmas of his life. His mother and father had 4 boys. Dad was the youngest, and his mother did what she knew how to do, which was to cook and sew and do laundry, and so she opened a boarding house. Dad worked in a drugstore and sold greeting cards. He sold Hallmark greeting cards, and he says, I can remember that at that time a card would be placed on display, and if someone wanted to buy that card, then he or another clerk would be required to go into the files and pull out a fresh, brand new, untouched card. He got drafted into the Army, and through a strange bunch of twists and turns, ended up in the Battle of the Bulge. On Christmas Eve, 1944, the almost constant military artillery bombardment from the German offensive lines stopped, and shells exploded overhead, but with no ordnance in them. They were filled with Christmas cards, and Dad said it was the most eerie sensation through the dark night sky to see these pieces of paper falling down. But they were propaganda Christmas cards intended to demoralize the Americans, and it would say things like, you just lay down your arms right now and cross over and surrender, and then you'll be home for Christmas. And it was really an amazing thing. After the war, Ed took advantage of the GI Bill, like so many of his generation, and he attended the University of Nebraska to get a business degree. In his senior year, he had an on-campus interview with Hallmark Cards, and they hit it off. Hallmark brought Ed to Kansas City and subsequently offered him a job. However, Ed's brothers had all relocated to Colorado by then, and they really wanted him to come see the beauty of their newly adopted state. Ed did visit and also fell in love with Colorado, so he wrote a polite letter to Hallmark, resigning before he even got started. In Denver, Ed began working for Western Livestock magazine, and there he met a very talented young self-taught artist named Bob Lorenz, who had been designing Western Christmas cards for his friends. So that first year, they had 4 designs, 4 Christmas cards for sale by mail order. Orders started pouring in, and everything was going according to plan until the cards arrived from the printer. One of the designs, 5,000 of them, had a typo. Well, it was nearly a disaster, but Ed and Bob managed to work with the printer. He hustled, got them new cards, and they were able to get all the orders out, and even had some time to spare. So they were off and running. The company grew steadily and began adding an ever-widening selection of artists and art styles. And in 1973, Ed broke ground on a new facility in Boulder, Colorado, that would bring together all of the many parts of the business that were spread around town and the county. And that continues to be home for Lean & Tree today. Ed's love for the West grew into a company celebrating a part of America that people really respond to. They resonate with it and recognize it. And I am delighted to say that after almost 70 years of making cards, Ed is still adding his humor and his very welcome presence at Lean & Tree almost every day.
Hello, I'm Ed Trumbull, founder of Lean & Tree. The success of Lean & Tree would not have been possible without a strong greeting card industry, and just didn't happen by accident. From the beginning of Lean & Tree, nearly 70 years ago, every step along the way, the greeting card industry has always been there, promoting greeting cards. I want to thank all the members and staff of the Greeting Card Association, past and present, for everything you do to keep greeting cards a special part of the American tradition. I wish each of you success and fulfillment in your greeting card dreams.